We are fundamentally flawed from the start. No one is perfect. And if you have heard of practice makes perfect, I'm sure you've heard of that phrase before. Practice makes perfect. If you keep on doing and doing and doing, one day you'll be perfect. Wrong. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes progress. My name is Mr. Kenneth Em, and I am a lecturer here at Beltei International University. And I have a great honor to talk to you about a very intriguing topic called It's Okay to Cry, the powers of vulnerability, or rather the insights into the powers of vulnerability. So I'm going to start off this talk with a bit of a story, right? And a personal story of mine that's a bit difficult to talk about, and I haven't told many people that before. I've only told maybe a handful of people, but through this and through my eyes, you might be able to see something a little bit more. And I'm sure you've all experienced something maybe perhaps similar to this, or you've experienced some emotional distress or problems. So to start the story off, I was about 7 or 8 years old. Me and my family, I had 2 younger brothers. I also had a younger sister as well, and I had an older brother. My father, my mother, and I, we all lived in a bridge lived under a bridge, in a box in Columbus, Ohio, in the United States of America. Now, we lived in a box and we didn't have a home. This is very hard for us because when many people, when they have a stressful day, when they have a tough day, when they have many things that are going on there in their life, one of their biggest reliefs is when they arrive home and they're able to relax and unwind and be 100% truly themselves. Why do I say that? Because a lot of people resort to, putting up a front in front of other people, pretending to be okay, pretending to be this kind of a person when they really aren't. They pretend to be strong in front of other people. They pretend not to cry. They pretend not to have emotions. They pretend not to have feelings. But when they go home, everything is released. I didn't even have a home. And me and my family, to be honest, we weren't very close. We don't really say, I love you a lot. We don't say how much we care for each other. It's something we're quite separated from each other, but I could tell that still my family cared for me because my dad went to work every day trying to provide for us. This was very hard for me because I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know how to express my emotions. I thought that if I was just strong, if I just put up a front like everybody else, then I would eventually be okay. You might have heard of the expression, fake it until you make it. But when you fake it until you make it into a reality. And the reality is that you're not okay. Everybody's not okay. You all have problems. No matter how happy that you seem, something in your life will make you sad. A loved one's death, losing credit in scores. Maybe you want to go to an international university. Maybe you want to get a scholarship. Maybe there is something that you want to do in your life and you feel like there are so many obstacles in your way. You feel like you cannot overcome it. You feel like you don't know what to do. I've been there. I've done that. And look at where I'm at today. I would like to say that I'm a perfect example of the possibilities of things happening. I've been in the worst possible situations, eating food from the trash. I see other people throw it away, a half-eaten sandwich, and I would pick that half-eaten sandwich up out of the trash, dust it off, and eat it. Or if somebody threw some food on the ground, I would dust it off and I would eat it. Why? Because we didn't have enough money for food. Even what would be considered a small amount of money, like $1, we didn't even have that. Sometimes I was too proud to go and beg for money. I didn't want to do that. I'd rather, eat food from the trash, not tell anybody, so I can put food in my stomach. It's extremely hard for me. And do you know, I cried a lot. I couldn't cry in front of my family because I had to be strong. I had little brothers, I had little sisters. I had to be strong for them as well. What did I do? I tried to find a way to provide for them, but I couldn't do much. I really couldn't. And I felt rather inadequate. But then, one day, a random passerby, a stranger, after a few months of living under a bridge, I can't really remember his name because it was quite a long time ago, but a random passerby showed me some kindness. He saw that I was picking food from the trash. And he said to me, why? Well, why are you picking food from the trash? Wouldn't you rather go beg for money? Wouldn't you rather go and earn some money for your family, earn some money for you? And I said, no, it hurts too much. I'm very enthusiastic child, but I'm too proud of a person. I told him it hurt too much. And he says, it hurts too much, but you have to eat from the trash. And then how can you support your family? I don't know why a random stranger was telling these things to me. He didn't know me. He didn't know my position. He didn't know what I had been through. He just only saw the result. He only saw what I was going through. But he didn't know me. I could be extremely happy, but he didn't know. He had some sense of knowing what I was going through, even though he didn't experience the situation himself. He was quite rich. He looked like he had a lot of money. He had a Rolex on. He had a very expensive suit. But he was probably the most influential person in my life, the most caring person actually in my life other than present day, which is my wife and my children. But what he said to me, he said one particular quote that really rang true to me. And he says, it's okay to cry. He told me, it's okay to cry. Why do I need to cry? He says, denying the cry in my soul is like denying the beating in my heart. Like denying your existence, denying that you actually live. And I really thought to myself, like it was very impactful. I was like, what does this mean? Do I accept everything that happens to me? There's many thoughts that were going through my mind. How do I make a change? I really wanted to become better. So I tried really hard in school because my dad was putting me through school. I put in my best effort. I got all A's. I had a 4.0 GPA. I became the valedictorian of high school. I also was in the top 3 percentile at my university, Ohio State University in the United States of America. And now I am a PhD candidate here at Beltei International University. If that one random stranger did not say to me, it's okay to cry, I might have still been in the same situation. I was able to help my family. I was able to support them. And now I'm able to support my own personal family today. Because of the one words of that kind stranger. He didn't say, you have to do this, you have to do that, you need to do this and you need to do that. All he told me was, it's okay to cry. Normally, when things go wrong, people have all of this advice for you. They say, this is something that you need to do. You need to do X, Y, and Z to be able to become successful, to get yourself out of that situation. Or you cannot go anywhere in life if you don't have anything. How can you buy something when you have no money? How can you create wealth when you have no capital for investment? But what every person has is emotion. Every person has feelings. Everybody has a mindset. And regardless of what reality you put yourself in, regardless of how successful you are or how unsuccessful you are, it is a mindset. It is a very particular mindset. And what creates the differences in those mindsets are vulnerability and allowing yourself to be 100% yourself in front of others. No one, almost nobody I know is 100% themselves. Why do I say that? Because like I said before, everybody puts up a front in front of other people. Everyone pretends to be somebody that they are not. even if it's just saying, I'm okay, or I'm fine. If somebody asks you, how are you? We mostly respond by, I'm okay, or I'm fine. But in the reality of it, 90% of the time, we're not okay, and we're not fine. Even with our close family members and friends, there are some things that we don't want to share with them. I was at fault for it too. Now I share every single thing with my wife. Everything that bugs me, everything that makes me happy. And it's like laying out your cards on a table. When you do that, you know what cards you have, what cards you can get rid of, what cards are more valuable. That's the same thing for emotions. When you lay out your emotions on a table, everything is real. You're not trying to find these intricate ways to get around your feelings and emotions to avoid personal embarrassment or something. Like, let's say, for example, you're a student and you're giving a presentation. You're quite nervous. You're afraid that you're going to fail. You're afraid that you are not going to do well. You're going to get deducted in your score. You're afraid that your speaking ability is not good enough. You don't think that you can speak English well, or Spanish or Japanese, whatever language we're talking about. You're afraid that you cannot speak this language in front of them due to your inadequacies, or that it is a second language. Everybody has inadequacies. Even me. Even the most richest person in the world. What we see is people putting up fronts. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these different forms of social media, these are kind of like our outlets for putting up a front. Have you ever typed LOL and not actually been laughing? Or have you ever, posted a picture about how happy you were, but actually you're arguing with your family or whoever you were talking to or whoever you were in that picture with? Were you 100% happy that time when you took that picture? Most of the time, probably not. At least not 100%. There's something there. When we are vulnerable, we get into the true existence of ourselves as human beings. And that we are flawed. We are fundamentally flawed from the start. No one is perfect. And if you have heard of practice makes perfect, I'm sure you've heard of that phrase before. Practice makes perfect. If you keep on doing and doing and doing, one day you'll be perfect. Wrong. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes progress. You will be one step further into the right direction by acknowledging your faults, acknowledging that you have these emotions, acknowledging that you have these inadequacies, acknowledging that you are not okay. I'm sure we've all cried before at one point in time, even if it was by ourselves. But after that, we felt like a big weight off of our shoulders. Even though the problem wasn't resolved, just by crying, we felt much better. Like the clouds. Why does it rain? Okay, after it rains, the cloud becomes less dense, less heavy. There's less rain there, less problems. We're not worrying about another storm that's happened. We've already got past this initial storm, so now we kind of have an idea of what direction to move in. And this gives us some insight into who we are ourselves. What affects us? What makes us happy? What makes us sad? What are we doing this for? What are we motivated for? What is the purpose in our life? And this is one of the harder questions that many people can't answer themselves. I know because myself, my bachelor's degree is in criminology. I plan to be a detective. My master's degree in TESOL and a PhD candidate in educational administrative leadership. But I'm not a detective. You know how much money I spent? Almost $250,000 on my bachelor's degree. What am I doing with that degree? Absolutely nothing. Do I think it was a waste of time? Maybe a little bit, but was it an important step for me to find out who I actually am and what I actually need to do in my life? Definitely. Would I take it back? Probably not. Now, you're saying, that's $250,000. You definitely want to take it back. You could study at a cheaper university. You could study in a field that you want. But many of us don't know what we want. And again, it's okay. And because we hold all of these burdens, we hold all of these pains inside, we hold all of these emotions inside, we often block the path for success for ourselves because we don't express how we truly are. Sometimes we might do things to please another person. Have you ever dressed really nicely or something, or styled your hair or done something a little bit different than what you usually do for somebody else? Maybe you see a really pretty girl and you think, I want to look nicer. But why am I wanting to look nicer? To try to impress her, not being myself. Maybe you pretend to be a person that you actually are not. Maybe you say that you're interested in these things when you really are not, instead of actually being yourself. And then you become a person that she thinks that you actually are. But you're not actually that person. So you start to fake it. And I told you about the fake it until you make it thing, and it's not true. You'll continue to fake it, and you'll become a person that you actually aren't. And then eventually, you cannot keep up the charade forever. You cannot keep it up for a very long time. One day, there will be something that will get in your way, and because you weren't the person that you truly are, what happens? You end up breaking up. Maybe you were married and you get divorced. There's a very high divorce rate here in Cambodia, extremely high divorce rate. Many people get married, and then shortly after getting married, they get divorced. The percentage and the percentile of that is quite high. But this is all due to the self-fact that they didn't acknowledge the problem. They didn't acknowledge the issues that was actually happening in their own life and how they personally feel. So when I say to you, and when that guy said to me, it's okay to cry, what he meant was, be vulnerable, show your emotions, be your real self. It doesn't mean just cry and cry for no reason. If you cry, you better pick yourself back up after you finish crying. Because if you keep on crying and complaining about your problems and you do absolutely nothing, nothing will happen. But I cried, I got my emotions out, I had more clarity. I had a better sense of clarity and a better sense of direction in what I wanted to do in my life. And I've cried many times when I was younger. So I worked harder, I was able to get into school. But then I started to study a bachelor's degree about something that I'm not even interested in now. And now I'm doing something that I absolutely love to do. I'm teaching many different classes, I'm a guidance counselor, I'm a private tutor. I do talks like this at Beltei IU Talk. And because I acknowledged myself and I acknowledged my mistakes, I cried and I let myself out. I vented. I told people who I am really. This is me, I am unique, I am me, and this is where I stand. And that's who I am. I am Kenneth. That's my name. I love to dance, I love to sing, even though I'm not good at it. I love to write, I love to read, and I love to cry because it makes me feel good. It releases all this sense of stress. I am truly one with who I actually am, even though I have tons of flaws. I don't pretend to be somebody that I'm not, and you definitely shouldn't pretend to be somebody you're not. Cry every once in a while. You'll see how much good it actually does for you. When you are vulnerable, the world is yours. You are honest to everybody. Now, I could go on and on about talking about this, but show from your personal experience and look into it yourself. Think about it. Think about why you do what you do. Think about how many times you weren't yourself. Think about being honest with who you actually are, and you will move to a better sense of reality, and you'll move in the right direction. It doesn't matter if you're doing something because you're very money-oriented, you want to earn money to take care of your family, that's one thing. But when you do something you love, they say you never work a day in your life. No. I hope that you have some semblance of reality after this, and I hope that you got something from my personal mistakes. And I really enjoyed talking to all of you here today. It was a great honor talking about this topic. But remember, it's okay to cry. All right? Thank you all, everybody.
Beltei International University, the future of global leaders.